Welcome back, folks and friends. Connecting Dots here. Today's date is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2014. Okay, before I jump into this video here, folks, a little update on the original Punisher. I'm not sure if you caught the video I uploaded 24 hours ago, just yesterday, on the Fukushima frauds. Well, looks like the petition is going to go through. Beautiful Girl by Dana Durnford, aka the nuclear proctologist, along with Kevin D. Blanch and Thomas Ackerman. Neither of these guys have taken a step to contact the Palco family to start a repayment plan or even discuss with them. So, no contact, so we're going to proceed on with this, and as I mentioned, the RCMP fraud squad's on to it, and if you go watch that video here, I showed an email from Jeff Palco's brother where he says, this whole thing is one bomb that just keeps on exploding. So I guess there's a lot more dirt here, and this is what I found out personally too. So someone sent me an email here this morning, and they're telling me how, for example, that Beautiful Girl by Dana here and this Terry Daniels, I don't know if you remember this guy in the very beginning. This is a guy that apparently went out and took these pictures during this 200-kilometer, 9-day stretch along the Sunshine Coast. The same pictures that Beautiful Girl by Dana was showing everyone, telling them all, look, it's all dead. Everything's dead on the Pacific Coast. Da, 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 da. Well, it turns out Terry Daniels, it's not even his real name. His real name is Terry Denio. And turns out Terry Denio was a manager, ex-manager now, was a manager of an apartment building because he was fired. He was ripping off money out of the laundry machine and apparently doing drugs. The best part about this is that one of these locals have contacted me, and they know all of the stories of these people, and he's in the process right now to contact them so I can interview them, and I'll share the stories that have gone on. I've even he shared a story with me here where even Dana ripped off a woman that sold him a scooter. So yeah, unbelievable, the scams here. They just seem to be following each other. I don't know what to say, really. It's just, and by the way, I don't know if you heard, but Beautiful Girl by Dana called this newspaper here where that story ran on him about being a fraudster. Yeah, stay tuned because I'll be contacting Susan here and we're going to clarify that story because I actually sent them an email, the newspaper, the day that article came out. And I think the reason why that the writer quit, because I don't think she was fired, she quit. That's what was said. Susan never said fired. She said quit. I think the reason why she left the paper is because the email I sent her the very next day. I'm like, hey, how can you write such an important story and get all the facts wrong? You can't even name the main characters properly. So yeah, I wouldn't say I was harsh, but I was very straightforward. I just told her, I said, listen, maybe reporting is not your thing, and maybe you should just pick another avenue. I don't know if I had an impact, but obviously the woman's left here. I'll have an interview with Susan and you'll find out more what's going on as far as this Fukushima fraud. I'm going to do a real interview so you guys will get to understand here that that First Lady may have messed it up, but yes, there's definitely fraud going on, and as I mentioned here, the RCMP have been called. This is not done yet. Okay, so progressing on with, yeah, I can't believe it. I've been red flagged. I'm looking for a gamma spectrometer, folks. I'm not sure if you've been following me here, but back on Fukushima Day 1046, I think it was, or day 1040, I talked about the strontium-90 starting to build up here. According to a German research, a mock study of a Fukushima-type meltdown, they're saying how the strontium-90 would be the biggest concern in the future. At around the 1,000-day mark, the strontium-90 would spew out, and sure enough, here around 1,000-day, Fukushima Day 1046 is where I picked it up. So I start talking about the gamma spectrometer. I'm like, hey, I need to raise some money here because I live right here on the west coast, right on where the Strait of Juan de Fuca you may have heard about, where all this high tide, low tides washing in, all this radiation apparently on the west coast. Well, I live less than 10 minutes away from the beach here, so I figured, well, why not? I've already got a couple of Geiger counters. I just need a higher end one. Well, I'm going to share with you what's taking place. As I mentioned, I've been looking for prices, and this is the latest stuff. Unbelievable here. So it started this morning here, as you can see, 11 o'clock here. I sent off this email and I said, hi, I'm contacting your company to find out what types of gamma spectrometers you have and their price range. I want to be able to identify strontium-90, cesium-134 and cesium-137 at least. Additional isotopes is fine, but I must be able to identify the first two. It's not necessary for the instrument to be able to pick up in phantom small amounts like a lab gamma spectrometer can. Also, please include additional information like warranty on the product, etc., etc. Well, this is what I got back. They've flagged my email address. Seriously? Anyhow, let's get into this because I can't believe that this is what's going on here. So he says here that this past spring, and it's true, I did contact the company looking for a gamma detector to be able to measure reactor release constituents from the Fukushima accident. Our president provided a detailed and thoughtful response, yet you accuse him of being part of some perceived conspiracy. I didn't know he was a president, by the way, and honestly, it doesn't matter to me what title you have. I speak to everyone in the same tone. It doesn't matter how much money you make. You got the same respect to me no matter what, up until you blow that respect. And that's basically what took place here. So he says, now you're contacting one of our largest suppliers and one of the most respected names in the nuclear measurements business. The answer will be similar to what our president provided. However, added to this is that you want an ORTEC solution. You'll be looking at a HPGE detector mounted in a grade shield with a digital MCA and support electronics and full quantitative software. The price for this will be from $70,000 Canadian and up, and you will need advanced training to be able to operate the system. Budget another $10,000 for the shipping and installation, plus another $8,000 to take a course at ORTEC's factory. Oh my God. Anyways, he says the reactor meltdown will be detectable only in similar ultra-sensitive instrumentation. We flagged your email address in our main system, thus this reply to you is coming from an outside account. It is, however, a formal reply to your question of our supplier partner information systems. Okay, so this is what I said. And I said, and I guess by now, assuming you keep up to date with Fukushima news, you've realized that I was correct back then when I called him on his bullshit. I've known since early 2011 that Fukushima radiation would be reaching our coastline, yet time and time again I hear the same uneducated responses coming from people who call themselves professionals. So yes, if none of you can be open and honest about Fukushima radiation, then I'm left with no choice but to call you all what you appear to be. Minimizers who fail to understand the Fukushima ongoing triple meltdown China syndrome and how ocean currents function. All are willing to dismiss the use of common sense. Funny how no one can figure out that since we've... Seriously, this is the important part. No one can figure out that since we've now seen the first signs of Fukushima radiation off our coast, which is the front section. This is important here. We have a large plume. They've just now picked up the front section of that plume here. The first plume that's coming our way, because it's been an ongoing increase. Yes, the first plume is going to be of the highest intensity. There's no doubt about that. And yes, the radiation that's been coming out after that is much lower. But the fact is, it's going to bioaccumulate somewhere, and that's really important, right? So I go on to say here that, this is the first plume. It's on our way with many more to follow for the next 35 to 60 years here. I said 60 because, TEPCO said 35 to 45. But honestly, do we trust TEPCO? Do we know what's going to be done in 45 years? We can't guarantee that. In fact, there's a lot of robotics that is not even invented yet to deal with this situation, because they've admitted that the situation at Fukushima is going to require robotics that have not yet been invented. So yes, 35, possibly 60 years. And I go on to say here, yet everyone with a degree can't connect the dots to figure out it's only going to get worse. Anyhow, that's why I make the news while most guys regurgitate what they've been told. Nothing new there, as I saw it for 17 years in Ottawa. As I mentioned here, I was in Ottawa for 17 years, and my family was dealing with government buildings and contractors and whatnot, so I have a little bit of experience there. Anyhow, I went on to say, I don't need your rep. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know it was a president, to tell me that all is fine and go back to sleep since it's only minute levels, while there's loads of peer-reviewed research showing how even low levels have consequences to some. Heck, latest research on CT scans shows a clear increase in heart attack risks after your fourth CT scan. So I went on to say, some prefer to stick their heads in the sand while others prefer information. Had your friend stuck with my request for information, then I'd probably not have been so hard on him. But when someone is clearly lying, then I feel it's my obligation to point out that he's lying, and so I did. Same as he was clueless about the government removing the 5 Geiger counters on tops of Vancouver buildings just before the initial Fukushima plume hit us, and only turning them back on 10 days later once they were moved inland to Kelowna. Anyways, fat chance they'll ever find anything down there after crossing how many mountain chains? He knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, in case you're not aware of that either, the initial atmospheric plume hit the west coast, and loads of radiation was found in the Cascade Mountain chain, and even in an Edmonton rainfall. I'm not sure if you guys remember that, but even myself, when I was traveling across Canada in 2011 doing the radiation testing of the rain, I'd found high levels in the Edmonton rain. And coincidentally, that same month we had the one location in Edmonton where they have a Geiger counter, well, it picked up Fukushima in the rainfall. What can I say? This is the way this stuff travels. However, it's important to buy a gamma spectrometer and test it to be sure. You can't come out making all these false claims, and I think many people have figured out here. So I went on to say here that, well, yeah, that's it. That's how I feel about these people, okay? So if they're going to come out here and try to downplay the whole thing and test the water, which is what I've said here, okay? They're going to keep testing the water, and they're going to keep telling you that they found it in very phantom small amounts, okay? Meanwhile, none of them want to check out the kelp, the bivalves, the fish, you know, where it's going to definitely bioaccumulate. So I'm not going to put up with their crap, and I even called Woods Hole Institute, yes, charging $600 for a test that they can have done elsewhere at another lab for half the price. I made a video on that. So yeah, that's what I think of you people. You're going to red flag me instead of giving me information. That's what's sad about this, you know. I'm just looking for a price. I don't need someone dictating me or telling me how I need to not worry about Fukushima and everything's just A-OK. And that's why I didn't know it was his president, but I let the president have a piece of my mind, telling me, hey, what are you, part of this conspiracy or what? And I called him a liar because he was saying that Canada was testing for Fukushima fallout all the time. I'm like, no, they're not. Anyways, it's very sad. These people want to red flag me. What kind of crap is that? I'm just looking for prices. Anyways, folks, stay tuned. And I want to thank you because there's quite a few people actually who have been making videos telling you all what's going on here. But quite a few people have jumped in here and helped me out with the gamma spectrometer. And I want to thank you, folks. I think many of you were, you know, Dana, Beautiful Girl by Dana followers, and now I've realized he's done a shit job. That simple. It's plain and simple. You can't call yourself a nuclear proctologist when you're riding around on the boat, bumping up and down on the waves, and taking shaky pictures and calling yourself a nuclear proctologist. People want real radiation testings. You know, he's not a researcher at this point. I hope you folks realize he's a cameraman. He's on a holiday taking pictures. I mean, I went down to one place here on my shoreline, and it was so easy to find life, pockets of life everywhere. And yes, folks, that's the way it goes out there. It's pockets of life. For you, you cannot come to a location on the ocean and say, you know what, at every location, all the different species should all be at that location. That's not the way it works in the world. There's a thing called habitat, environment. Look it up. Different species grow in different locations, so you can't just go to the he's calling there the nursery of the ocean and say, oh, you know what, these are all missing, I didn't see them, you know. Meanwhile, yeah, so people have woken up here, and I want to thank those of you that have donated. Many of you realize it's important to do proper independent testing, and we're not going to get it from Woods Hole Institute. We're not going to get it from the FDA. That's what this video is all about. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. The FDA was lying. You can't check 3 species of fish that don't wander anywhere, you know, bottom dwellers that just stick around the coastline and say, you know what, we tested 3 types of fish, everything's okay. Yeah, so I'm going to do my ongoing testing for free, okay, for free. Everything on the West Coast. Yes, I will travel the West Coast, Vancouver Island. What can I say, man? I'm stuck on an island. It's great. I'll be traveling all over. I'll right up to Tofino. I'll get you live stuff with my camera. No funny business with me, folks. Anyways, just want to let you know here that, yeah, I've been flagged. If anyone wants to send me an email, There's the address right there. Take care, folks, and stay tuned. This is not done yet.